Today's episode is a powerful one. I'm joined by Justice Calabro, a former professional race car driver who left the world of competition to pursue a higher calling rooted in truth, love, and spiritual awakening. Justice shares his journey from championship podiums to helping building a revolutionary online community and coaching practice that's redefining what it means to live with purpose. We talk about choosing integrity over fear, building a brand in alignment with your soul, and using social media as a form of sacred service. If you're ready to feel deeply and think differently, this episode is for you. So, whenever you're ready, we just dive right into it, unless you have some questions beforehand.
I don't have questions, but only a small request.
Okay. Tell me.
And you can add this to the recording if you want, but I'd love to take a breath together and do a quick meditation. Is that okay?
That's perfectly fine.
All right. You mind if I guide us in?
Yep, perfect.
Find yourself good posture, dignified, prideful posture, chest up, chin down, shoulders back, wise spine, as they say in the Vedas. Sit with this posture for a second. Feel into that expansiveness, that dignified energy, that sense of responsibility, that joy in your mission. We're going to take a collective breath together on my count. First, we're going to exhale all the way. So empty your lungs as deep as you can. 1, 2, 3. A little more at the top. Exhale with a sigh. One more big breath. Hold. Exhale through the nose. Back to the normal breath. Keep it deep. Keep them full. Noticing the weight of the body. The weight of your feet resting on the floor. Your butt in the chair that you're sitting in. Your hands. Grateful for our feet that support us. For our legs that can move. For our knees that can bend. For our flexibility so that we may navigate this beautiful earth. Or this mother Gaia that supports us. And all of the adventures, the challenges, beautiful opportunities we have in this life to be on such a magnificent planet at what a magnificent time. Grateful for our digestive system, every organ in our body that performs its vital functions so that we may live and thrive. Sending gratitude to the stomach, to the liver, to the kidneys, the underappreciated appendix, to the intestines, to the lungs. Allow you to breathe. For without air, we would lose consciousness. Lungs vitalize our minds, bodies, and spirits, oxygenate the blood, allow us to expand into this beautiful moment. For our hearts that beat without us asking to, for our hands that can clasp, that can feel, that allow us to create magnificent things. For our arms that are strong and that can reach. For our shoulders, for our spine, keeps us erect and supporting us. For that beautiful channel of energy that flows up and down the spine. For each one of the chakras, moving into the heart. Grateful that we can feel. Grateful that we can feel the extremes of emotion in this world, from the highest ecstasies of love and compassion to the deepest voids, reminders of love and grief. Grateful that we can experience it all, for it is the majesty of the human experience to feel. To feel is to be human. And it is a responsibility to choose love over the fear this world imposes. Staying with the breath. Grateful for our mouth so we can articulate, so we can share that love and compassion. Grateful for our tongue so we can taste the fruits of this earth. Grateful for our nose so we can smell the fresh spring air. Your favorite dish. All of the beautiful senses of this world. The scent of a flower. The basil of sage. Of all those things that bring you joy. Breathe that in. Grateful for our eyes that can see, that can perceive so much beautiful light, so much majesty in this world. Without the eyes, it would be but an empty void of gray dullness. Appreciate what you can see. The simple majesty in the smallest of things, from the grain of wood in your table to the infinite expanse of the sky, for there are some that cannot receive this beautiful gift. And be grateful for our ears that can hear. Hear the bird song in the distance, sound of the wind in the trees rustling. For the voice of our companions and our fellow allies on our journey. Songs of many sages singing to us what we must hear now. And grateful for us, the real I, the real you. The animating force that brings all of this to life, for without you, there would be nothing to experience. Grateful for the higher mind, the soul, the spirit. Spirit animates mind, mind animates body. Being grateful and remembering who we are. That powerful, infinite, expansive, animating force of the universe, of God. Now that we have felt and appreciated, I call on my masters, teachers, and guides, and the masters, teachers, and guides of Sam, all of the powerful energy of God, of the divine creator that flows through us. May we use these senses to see what must be seen, hear what must be heard, feel what must be felt, and do what must be done to live in integrity with our highest good, right here, right now, today, choosing love over fear, choosing, choosing, choosing. It is our choice, our responsibility for every breath, for every word, to remain in integrity with love. So I ask that we set that intention today for this container, for everything that may manifest out of this beautiful conversation. Let it inspire love, courage, hope, wisdom, gratitude, and excitement in the hearts of those who see. May it inspire curiosity and expansiveness between us, insight, and may we feel the magnanimity of our purpose right here, right now, today. One final breath. Chest up, chin down, shoulders back. Exhale with a sigh. Big smile. Coming back to the body, to the sounds around you, to our purpose here today. Fully present, totally aware, and grateful. Come back whenever you're ready, Sam. You can open your eyes.
Nice. Thank you. Beautiful. Very powerful.
And so it is done.
Yes.
Thank you for
Yes.
having me, Sam. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I suggest we already dove right in. Amazing. I hope everyone listening did this with us together. You went on quite a journey from professional race driver to the person you are today. What first sparked this personal awakening journey?
That's That's a good question, to go back to the beginning. So to set the stage, I started racing when I was 12 years old. I was very, very young, loved for it, always grew up watching NASCAR with my dad. And when I hit really about 14 or 15, I had a remarkable experience of my first contact with spirit, with something beyond my perception of the world that made me really question everything. Up until then, I'd already had a fascination with the paranormal and things like that at a very, kid level of curiosity. But my grandfather passed away tragically from malpractice in the hospital after a car accident. And we were mourning him on Easter Sunday. It was 2017. And we were in the church. I went to a Catholic school from second grade on. I was too crazy. I was so ADHD when I was younger. They hadn't forced me onto meds yet. And so they put me in Catholic school to see if they could, slap me up a little bit. And it worked for elementary school. So we had this beautiful church, and we were celebrating Easter Sunday there. In fact, I'm gonna make a video about this at some point because this story is so meaningful to me. We walk in, my grandmother, who is now in mourning as well, she's blind and she's developing dementia. So and she's sung in the choir at this church, a beautiful relationship with everyone there. And I always go in first to get the first row pew on the first side so that we can be as close as possible to the priest to go and receive communion. So I walk in, the church is emptying out after the last mass, and I'm like the only one in the church except for this one woman who's sitting all the way across, like the other side of the church. And I sit down, and she's got her little nephew with her, and she makes direct eye contact with me. No hesitation, stands up, walks over, and sits right next to me. Sits right next to me. Now, mind you, this is in Los Angeles. So my crackhead meter's like, yo, who is this crazy person coming to sit next to me? And honestly, that was the logical mind, but something in my heart was like, she's chill. So we started talking, and we just had a beautiful conversation. She asked about how I was at the church, very normal, until she started in the middle of mass, in the middle of ceremony. We're in the first row, and she starts whispering to me, and she starts her name. I won't share her name out of privacy for her. All you have to know, actually, we'll get to that later. Anyway, she starts telling me about her near-death experience and what she saw on the other side. She was in a car accident when she was 16 years old. And she begins telling me about what she saw in this near-death experience when she was unconscious. And I remember in vivid detail, every word that she told me. And to sum it up in not so exquisite detail, because it would take me about an hour to tell you the whole story, she was greeted on the other side by her guardian angel, and her life flashed before her eyes, but it wasn't a flash, it was an experience. She felt and saw in an instant all of the good and the butterfly effect of the good that she had done in the world. The expansiveness and how it butterflied all the way over the world, rippling like waves in a pond of goodness, and she felt it in her heart, and her heart blew open. And then, weighing your heart against a feather, she felt all the pain and suffering that she had brought into the world through her actions. That was her judgment, her own personal hell. And after she was judged, and it was simply the cultivation of compassion, empathy is the prerequisite for ascension. After she had experienced that, she talked about walking up the 7 planes of heaven and seeing all of these different people and her ancestors on different stages of their spiritual development. Mind you, she's a devout Catholic telling me this. And she gets to the top, the eighth plane, right above the 7th, and she sees the figure of the Christ as she knows him. But next to, not below, but next to the Christ is every deity and supposed God and manifestation of this same Christ consciousness that humanity has ever worshipped. From every Greek god to every Hindu deity to every archetype of human consciousness that we have ever looked to for guidance was there next to the Christ. And behind was this omnipresent, omnipotent golden light. And her guardian angel sitting there next to her. And she's like begging. She's like, it's not my time. She's like, I don't want to die. I want to go back and help the people I love. And she's in this like, in tears and like broken down, fearful. And he just stuck out his hand and said, it is not your time. You will be granted a gift. to see the other side. And you will use this gift to help aid people, to help guide them, to help them bring love into the world. And you will never, ever charge for this gift. If you do, you are out of integrity and out of reciprocity, and it will be taken away from you. And she was sent back. He pointed, and she woke up, and there was a woman praying the rosary over her. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord be with you. And she opens her eyes. From that day, she was a changed woman. She was like a 16-year-old little goth girl that turned into, at that time, was a devout Catholic. It was interesting because the description that she told me of heaven was not a devout Catholic description whatsoever. And she proceeds to tell me about the majesty, and she felt the presence of the Christ in the church. Now, this is also to preface, I subscribe to no religious denomination. I subscribe to nothing. The experiences that life delivers me develops my own relationship with that omnipresent force of God, of whatever consciousness wants to come into my field to aid me in my journey and my evolution. It requires no human or man-made dogma to help me find my way. You know, take what's good, leave the rest, find and pave your own way. That's what this really taught me, and through her. And she showed me the beauty of Catholicism, which I didn't understand at the time when I was younger. And some of the parts of it, it's deeply flawed in a lot of ways, but its roots are still, you know, in the right place, even though the snake is in the church. Anyways, she proceeds to talk to me about this, and she's telling me about all these experiences. And then she drops a little Easter egg. So in the pew, it goes, my grandmother, my aunt, my dad, me. And she points to all the way down. She goes, who's that handsome young man standing next to your grandmother? I'm like, what do you mean? And then, like nothing, she starts like imitating my grandfather. His voice comes through her, and he just starts speaking to us. Now, this is like a mid-60s, kind of Irish accented woman who starts speaking impeccably like an 80-year-old Italian from the Bronx with a deep accent. Hey, I just want to let you know that I'm good up here, and tell Lenny she doesn't have to come up right now. I'm here with our daughter. Everybody's good. When she said that, I'm here with our daughter. My grandparents had two children. Two children. My dad and my uncle. Now, what they didn't know, but what my grandmother and aunt knew, was that my grandmother miscarried a child. She said that child's name, and my aunt and grandmother started crying. And they proceeded into a discourse now after receiving the communion, talked with my parents in the church and after church for hours. We proceeded to have a relationship with this woman all the way up until we moved to North Carolina. And when my grandmothers both passed away, she called us the second they crossed over to the other side without any prerequisite contact and saying they're here, they're safe. They came to say hi. All right, they're just letting you know that they're good and that they're with the people that they love. And she's been in our life ever since. So if that's not an initiation into curiosity, I don't know what is. So it was from that point that I developed a massive curiosity in the other side, because I knew she wasn't lying. So I had to explain and understand every detail that she told me. I had to understand, because I didn't see it for myself, but I knew in my heart she wasn't lying. So that led to years and years of the unfolding of curiosity and studying the esoteric, everything from Manly P. Hall to Buddhist and Taoist scriptures to New Age stuff like Sitchin and Jung and Jungian psychology and the Hemisync protocol, and anything you can think of that goes into the deep, dark corners of ancient spiritual traditions to modern spiritual psyops. Like I've been there, searched for it, and scoured through it to try and understand the truth. And I can say with gratitude that it might be my own human interpretation, but now through my personal research, I can see, understand, and have found textual as well as personal relational evidence to explain and understand everything that she told me that day. And it got to a point in my racing career where after 10 years, 5 championships, well over 100 wins, the support of an army of loving people around me who saw that I wanted to bring more compassion, and something different to the space. We had no money. So it was always just people just trying to help out. And we were never able to get any money, which is a blessing, because if we did, I wouldn't be here. So after winning the championship in 2023, and I'm talking about gratitude in victory lane, and there's people throwing rocks at me and like screaming on the fence, I'm like, this isn't my place anymore. This is the wrong stage. And I knew that day, nobody else knew, because we were at the pinnacle of my career. I'm standing and taking the victory lap with my dad. He's standing next to me recording, waving to everyone. I'm hoisting up the trophy, and everyone thinks that this is the beginning of something great. And in my heart, I knew it was the end. And a tear fell from my eyes as all of the celebration and champagne is going. I knew it would be the last time I ever stepped in a race car. And what has transpired since then to create the life that I now live is it's the stuff of miracles. I guess everything in this life truly is a miracle. But yeah, that's what sparked it.
That's a very remarkable story. How did that shape you to share the message that you're sharing today?
Being a race car driver?
The story you just told of the person that you met in your family, what comes back from that in the message that you're sharing today?
Responsibility. A responsibility to virtue, to choice. Once I understood that our hell was the experience of all of the good and bad that we brought into the world, it's our own personal hell. It's the hell that we create. There is no deeper suffering and empathy that you can connect to than the suffering that you create. When you hurt someone, you will feel it deeper than anybody who hurt you out, or who hurt you or hurt someone else outside of you. When it is you that is the cause and the effect, that is judgment. And it made me realize just how much of a responsibility we have to bring virtue and love into this world through everything that we do, to try and bring our actions into alignment with the ultimate goodness of unconditional love. And it took exploring human behavior, human psychology, my own life, processing my shadows with my own family, to come to the very simple message that it's the same it's the same message that we've had for thousands of years. Seek and ye shall find. Ask and it shall be done. Do unto others as you would have done unto you. It doesn't mean do to others what others do to you. It doesn't mean reflect their shadows and pain back to them. It means be in a clear mirror of unconditional love, so that you know and you can be a safe space for healing and for reflection. For when people bring their pain to you, you show them nothing but the eyes of compassion. And if they condemn you, you show them the light of truth. It is how to be aligned in integrity with that truth as clearly and impeccably as possible, to hold yourself to the standard of virtue, of truth, of love, so that you can be that, to catalyze that in other people. It is our responsibility to bring that to every human being that we touch. And truthfully, we'll come back to this planet, to this plane, to learn that lesson as many times as we have to until we get the message. And we can choose to step off that wheel of karma and heal our own shadows, heal our trauma, and stop projecting a distorted image of reality whenever we choose. And at some point, I just chose to do my best. And the only message is to just remind you to do your best. to do that. And our world as a byproduct, you will send ripples through the collective, and we will enrich the consciousness of this planet, bring more love into these interactions, more presence, more benevolence. And slowly, there will be less and less places for evil to hide in the hearts of men as we shine the light of truth deeper and deeper and deeper into the shadows, to the cracks and the caves of the abyss of our ego. We got to look deep within ourselves, bring the light, allow it in, and allow the shadows to be seen, not just by us, but by other people.
Yeah.
So that's the message.
That's beautiful, man. I really do believe as well, like the energy that you give out is definitely the energy that you will receive. So that resonates very hard with me. After you decided to quit being a professional race car driver, I can imagine that for your surrounding, it must have been like a real shock that they couldn't comprehend. But what did you do after that point? Like, okay, I'm done here. Now I'm moving on to the next point. How did you figure out what the next point would look like?
Another great question. Thank you. I just want to acknowledge for a second how nourishing it is to be in this space with you, to be prompted and to ask and to feel that up until this point in my life, I can be having this conversation with you, talking about this. It feels like an arrival of its own. It really does. It fills me with so much joy. It's like a real deep moment of gratitude, especially getting to this turning point in the story now. Thank you. Thank you for holding the space to allow me to tell this story. It's so special to me. Thank you, Sam. The work you're doing is beautiful, bro.
It's my pleasure, for real.
Okay. How did I make that choice? How did it feel? How did the people around me respond? When did I choose? Well, the racing season ended in November of 2023, right around my birthday. And the story of that, my lovely lady's coming out and bringing me some green tea. Thank you. Thank you, my love. Here's more honey. Perfect. I love you. Actually, this is a perfect segue. It's my favorite mug. Let me read it to you.
Follow your dreams.
Yes. Follow your dreams. Your life holds for you endless possibilities. Keep sight always of what is important. True happiness and purpose will always be found in relationship. The bonds we have are everlasting. Salute.
Salute. That's beautiful. I need a mug as that, like, as well.
I got this mug, actually. We were at breakfast with my cousins at just like this cute little restaurant here, and they Goodwill buy all their mugs. And they gave me this mug, and I'm like, yo, can I buy this off you guys, please? So I bought the mug at that restaurant. It was a beautiful gift from the universe. And it says, yeah, follow your dreams. The little crackheads.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay. It was exactly that. Keep sight of what is always important and moving into trusting those powerful relationships. So after November that year, it came to April, and I was just searching around. I knew that I wanted to use my voice and the training that I'd happened up until this point, the wisdom, the practical training with Heroic is a really powerful. Can't see it. There you go. Got a little tattoo on my hand. 2.0, 2.5. The mark of the philosopher. It was my promise to myself on my 20th birthday to practice my philosophy and embody this as I went into this next phase of my life. And a powerful company. Actually, not even a company. They're a public benefit corporation that's really devoted to changing the world. So if you're ever curious what Heroic is, it's a perfect reflection of what the physical manifestation of people trying to create new Earth looks like. So go check it out. It's like a modern Plato's Academy. It's beautiful. So that inspired me and empowered me to want to hold space for people and to want to bring some of this practical wisdom to the world to, once again, help wake people up. As I was granted the gift of the light of truth. I mean, we all fight for it. But it was April 8th. It was the solar eclipse of 2024, and a week or two prior, I was scrolling on social media and I found Thor, Life by Thor, his page, and he posted one of these videos about permaculture, and I saw one of his lead gen posts, and I really resonated with that, like those truth muscles, speaking to it, the excitement, like we're creating this together, and it really, really resonated with me. So I booked a call with his team, and I hopped on a call with this beautiful woman named Lauren, and she sat with me on the Eclipse. We had our call booked. I was like their nightmare customer too. I really, really was. I was late to the call, and when I wound up joining, I had to stretch out my payment plan longer than they had ever done it for anybody because I was so broke. It was really funny. So she hopped on with me during the Eclipse, and we started our call. And right before the Eclipse started, I was like, yes, I'm in. I feel it. Boom. I feel the energy in the vortex. And I said, yes. I'm like, let's do it. I was like, I'm going to go into ceremony now with the Eclipse, and I'll get back to you on whether or not I'm fully in and with the payment right after. So can we have a few hours? We did. And I sat out, and you actually might be able to see it. You're behind me. There's a little fire pit back there.
Yeah.
So I sat out there with my family on the Eclipse, and we went into ceremony. It was the first ceremony I'd ever had with my whole family. It was mom, dad, mom, dad, and grandpa. And we were out there sitting by the fire, beautiful sunny day, all with our Eclipse glasses, watching this to totality. And we were chanting and just really dropping it. It was the first time I'd ever felt that connected to my family. And this ring that I've got on my hand right here, it's been with me for well over 7 years now. And it's been in the car with me through pretty much every race that I've done since I've moved to North Carolina. I've always looked at it to like the star. How do we embody such virtue that we can become something that people aspire to, that inspires others? And that's what the star represents to me. It's also part of my family sigil. My dad is tattooed on him, and his name of his company is Moon Star Media. He's the moon, my mom is the sun, and in the tattoo, I'm the little star. So it's been a part of our family crest for a long time. So during the eclipse, during the ceremony, and during the fire, I took this ring off, and I threw it into the fire, not knowing whether it would melt. I hoped that it was actually made of titanium like it was advertised. And I threw it in, and what was once a beautiful and polished ring came out scarred, all of these beautiful blemishes. And I reforged my identity that day when I decided to step into this vortex, in this container of the New Earth University. And I came out of ceremony feeling really empowered, like, okay, on a little microdose, not gonna lie. And I said yes, made the first payment, and I dove into the work. And as soon as I saw and was empowered by the tools inside of the university in the personal branding program, I saw that how I could take my story and turn it into something powerful to help transform people's lives. I now understood the social media landscape enough to be confident to bring those gifts, to generate a little bit of virality, create some energy, create some ripples. Because when you post something into that space, it goes all the way around the world, right? You touch the lives at minimum of hundreds or thousands of people, let alone millions of people, right? Even if it's just for a second. When you code into your message, into your presence, benevolence, love, and truth, the people who are supposed to find you and see you will. And that's that responsibility moving into social media, not using it as Medea, the goddess of illusion or deception, but using it as a form of social service, how we're here to serve the awakening of humanity through leading by example, with us, with our message, with our intention, with our love. And in 2 weeks after joining the program, I went from 0 to 30K on Instagram, and I was like, all right, I signed my first 2 coaching clients, and I was able to start nourishing that muscle. And I found that through working with these people, they had huge breakthroughs. I was like, what? Like I was 20 years old at the time. I just turned 21. And I was coaching and mentoring someone who was 5 years older than me, and getting the opportunity to work with somebody who was 12 years older than me. And they were looking to me for guidance. They were listening to me. They were hearing me. And it actually turned into real transformation. And it was so nourishing. And then it got to the point I was like, okay, I see that this is possible. I see it. And they wound up becoming my best friends. Alex, who is quite literally my best friend, flew down from Canada. Oh, hello. I got this little bumblebee that comes and visits me out on the deck. We call him Bumbo. So if you see him buzzing around, he flew down from Toronto a few weeks ago. And since he was a part of the program as well, we stopped our mentorship and just became best friends after working together in that regard. And he was the first one to like really see me in my power. Really see me in my power. You know, I feel this call because what I said, having two coaching clients, isn't inherently true. That was actually a bit of a lie. Alex was the only one who paid me. The other coaching work that I've done has always just been non-transactory. So that didn't feel right. It felt not inherently true. So I wanted to clear that up. So after Alex came down, at this point, we had been invited into the coaching business, into the content agency. And I was invited to run the New Earth container to help bring the community to life, to be the customer success manager, helping manage relationships. I got to be on sales, and I'm leading the sales team. It's hardly a sales team. We just vibe check everybody and get them a hype, see if they want to step into this. And it's easy because it works. I know it's real. I'm able to ground in that energy. And now we've been granted the opportunity to create this beautiful container where we teach not only just personal branding, but we've been able to host now a community that is grounded in virtue and love, something that Thor and the team wouldn't have had without me. So I was granted that opportunity to reshape this container towards my personal vision and mission because they trusted me, because we all aligned on vision. And that's the thing. The thousands of people that are in this space, we all share the same vision. It might have its own minor distortions, but we all want a future for humanity, for our children, where we can live without fear, in integrity with love, reconnect to the earth, lead by example, and get rid of all the indoctrination that our society has used to oppress us and keep us hidden from the truth. And it starts once again with you and me leading by example, living in integrity with virtue. So that's what the free container's for. The paid container is now turning into a space where we're hosting other people, other people's gifts coming in, getting the opportunity. Success stories of the brands that have been built because of the container are now able to share their gifts, affiliate, get a cash high five, bring more people in. It's a self-sustaining ecosystem. And it's just so nourishing to be a part of. And so many people, when they step into the container, they're like, wow, even on the sales call, they're like, damn, Justice, I feel like I'm home for the first time in my life. Like 90% of these calls, we just wind up crying together. It's nuts. It's nuts. But yeah, that's what that transition was like. And it came to a point with my family where, you know, Thor's a bit of a, he's a bit of a maniac when it comes to expressing his truth. And my mom, I'll never forget this, when I stepped in and I said, Mom, I'm done racing. We got to a point where I told her and I showed her the vision, and she didn't know that much about Thor yet, but she saw what I was doing. She saw how confident I was, but she didn't understand. So she was afraid. She was very afraid. My dad was unmoved. Thankfully, my dad who had invested well over $100,000 over the last 10 years to help me build my racing career, hours and hours and hours of his time. It was not an easy sacrifice for me to make because of the guilt. I'm like, we've put in all this work. Why stop? Right? But I just knew it wasn't right. So he took it a lot better than I thought he would. And he was in support, even though he didn't understand. He was letting me do what I needed to do. My mom, on the other hand, after she saw Thor and looked at his page and saw how he expresses himself, you know, he's not so parent friendly sometimes. She got in my face. We were sitting in my dad's studio, and she got right up to me. We were literally nose to nose, and she was screaming at me, crying, "This isn't real! This isn't the real world! You can't just make content and have a life! You're gonna be homeless!" Like projecting all of this fear. And for the first time in my life, because my mom is one of my biggest triggers, we have so many karmic ties, even in our astrology. It's like we just trigger the fuck out of each other. So it's a great challenge. And for the first time, I was unmoved by her fear. I sat there compassionately looking her in the eyes, knowing so deeply that she just could not see everything. She couldn't see it all. She couldn't understand. And I was compassionate to that. I didn't have anything to prove to her. There was nothing I could say other than, Mom, I love you. I see you. Trust me. Trust me. And I just hugged her and we went head to head. She's crying. She was like, I've got this. And she was like, you've never been the person to get anything ever. Like, you've been the most erratic and unproductive human being ever. Because up until this point in my life, she's been the fucking warden, you know, having me do my homework and make sure that my life doesn't fall apart. So I'm stepping into this full responsibility, and she's like, how the fuck am I supposed to let go and trust that you do anything? And it was such a beautiful transition, and I just said, I will prove it to you. Let me show you, right? And I did. And she was like, all right. Now she's like, fuck yeah, let's go. She loves Thor. She loves everything we're doing. She's like, you're making bank. You're going to go travel. Everybody's on board. But it took a year of what the fuck are you doing to... And she still doesn't really understand, but now she sees the motion and the excitement. And that's the thing. The people you love don't have to understand the nuances of what you're doing. Actions speak louder than words. When you show up, when you bring the excitement, when you bring intensity, passion, clarity, they don't have to think like you. They just have to trust you. And they can trust you when they see you showing up, doing your best.
I love that. That's such a full circle moment as well of you joining the community, eventually starting to work together on growing the community. If I understand correctly, you're in charge of guiding people from the free container to the paid membership. Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a lot more expansive than that, but it's at its simplest, absolutely.
In essence, yeah.
Yeah, in its
How-
essence, yes.
Okay. Can you tell me a bit about the process that you go through from free member to paid member?
Absolutely. It's something that we're actually quite excited about because we're trying to do something very different than the old world marketing standard. Now, Thor and Leo, my mentors up until this point, the people who I've learned about business from, they both had 7-figure agencies. They've both done it and renounced the physical wealth and abundance to create something, that was in integrity. Like, that really stood in integrity and wasn't manipulative, wasn't pushy, that didn't use all these fake timers and fucking garbage to persuade and tap people's fear muscles into taking action. Like, that's not integrity. That's what we all hate about social media, right? So we're all tasked with the responsibility of trying to create a whole new business model for how to do this while also respecting our individual spiritual journeys and respecting the individual journeys of every single human being who comes into our field. So the value ladder and the process itself is quite simple. When you're vulnerable and you're authentic at the forefront of your brand and you don't put on a mask, you will only magnetize people that really resonate with you, and you will push away everyone who doesn't. You being you, speaking your truth, is the greatest qualification mechanism you could ever put on your leads, because you don't have a mask to uphold, which means people will never, ever, ever be shocked. Like, oh, he's not who I think he was. Just fucking be you. Like, just be you, bro. So that's what Thor does. And he does that on his Instagram by just being vulnerable, speaking his truth, sometimes throwing rocks at the people who need rocks thrown at them to, like, wake up. We get somebody hit in the head and wake them up sometimes. It just happened with us on his page with this Dispenza post and Danny Morel. Crazy stuff going on. Big turmoil and transmutation. But I'm very proud of the way he's handled this up until this point. So we bring people in through that, right? And the idea through the personal branding program is to teach people how to do that so that they can create organic leads, leveraging a little bit of virality, so that you bring in the tact for knowing how to create that viral relatability on social media and merge it with your brand. Right? So Thor is the spearhead of that. And we teach people how to do that. So that brings people into the free community. Now we're kind of transitioning out of this phase. We have some VSLs running. We've got CTAs and some of this typical social media stuff, like drop a comment on this post and we'll send you a link, right? And then we've got appointment setters going in, navigating the leads. So it's your pretty typical back end process to help nurture those leads up. But that's only 50%. The part that I'm in charge of, that we're really transitioning into, and we're gonna continue to have appointment setters because it's definitely helpful. But this is really gonna take the primary focus. The free community, the container, is where people get touch points and they can build trust. They can feel into the space. So our only objective is to get people into the container and get them to show up to the Monday call. The Monday call is where we all drop in. We go into meditation. People have heart shares, and we get practical on some stuff. We talk about virtue. It's open discussion, and then maybe Thor teaches. He shouts. He spits some wisdom about social media. Right? Provide value. Provide connection, empathy. Show them the power of the container, and let them feel it. And we have a 100% close rate of every sales call booked from that container. 100%. Because the people who spend the time and they're sitting with it, they already made up their fucking mind. They're just waiting for you to send them a payment link and tell them what the details are. So when you create that environment, when you create that type of culture where people step into this vortex and without them having to pay anything, they can feel who you are, then for the people who are really aligned with your product, and just one of our products is the personal branding program, right? Those people will be like, fuck yeah, I want to do what I want to do with Thor's doing, I want to do what these guys are doing. Why wouldn't I say yes? Right? So that's the initial nurturing system. And we have some lower ticket products and some other small things to give people a taste of the teaching style and whatnot. And all of those low ticket products have one thing very special, is that it's not just about here's tactical skills. We're working really closely right now trying to bring the inner alignment part and setting a really clear expectation of what's going to be required for you for success. Right now, I know a lot of people do this, and it's because it works. But tapping into just enough feminine spirituality and creativity and just enough masculine, let's get to fuck to work discipline, and you set the stage with that. Just want to make sure that my phone's not going to explode from the sun. When you set the stage with that, people don't have a false expectation of the product, and you can empower them. And we hold calls focused on nurturing the audiences that buy each of those intermediary products, and they get touch points with us. They see what we're doing. We're in a very experimental phase with that right now. Those are all like demo products, but for the most part, they've been a fun experiment, and they have turned into some paid leads. So that's what the initial nurturing process looks like. And then we just, through the community, we get all the touch points that we need to qualify them to move up the ladder, right? Mm-hmm. So once they do hop on a sales call with me or one of the other people who they've interacted with a dozen times at this point, they're just like, oh, hey, great to see you. All right, So that's the type of culture that we've worked to create as a qualification system. And then they come into the paid container, and it's a very focused energy around helping them execute their goals. It goes from expression, vulnerability, like, oh, boom, expansiveness, like I'm feeling the community, to now you paid us to teach you. Let's get to work and make sure that you get it done, right? So you have the masculine and feminine aspects for the people who want to step into creation,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very powerful strategy, as in just give so much as well without expecting anything in return. Mm-hmm. And then people will eventually take the action themselves. Do you have a system in place? Like, for example, you have the Monday call. Does that end with some type of call to action, or you just have a kind of link set up somewhere that people know if they are ready, they can click on it? How does it practically work?
So everyone who facilitates knows how to pitch. All right. So all of the facilitators that we co-facilitate with and bring up, we all know how to frame the university properly. And the Monday call doesn't end with a sales pitch where we show you a slide deck and we're like, oh, by the way, we've got this product, blah, 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 blah. It's just like, these calls and this community is made possible by the university, by the people who have stepped into their power and their mission and desired to be creators. Right? You've seen them all over the place. Like, it works. They have success. So if you're feeling called to step into that and explore what that looks like, and you're feeling that, then say yes. Reach out to any of us on the team, right? Reach out to Justice, and you can book a call, right? Everybody knows me, and we can send it. We send the link in the chat. It's like, if you guys are feeling inspired, you can do it right now. Just know that this is how we keep this community alive. And this is our gift to you, where we get to use our skills and show you how to bring your greatest gifts to the world so that you can do, in essence, what we're doing and get a cash high five for doing so. So you support the community, you come into our ecosystem, and you get the opportunity, just like us, to facilitate and share your gifts with the world using the same strategies that we have now tested, proven, and run into the ground so that you don't have to do all that extra work, right? So it taps into a little bit of the same practical, hey, we've done the work for you. And it's an invitation. It's not a call to action. It's an invitation. Like, call people into introspection, really feel into what you're doing. And then we sit with it for a second. And we just say, there's no necessity for you to choose. But remember, it's still your choice. There's no pressure. It's just purpose. If you feel a call of purpose, then don't hesitate. What the fuck are you doing? Right? Say yes. Yes is the most powerful word in the human language. Expansiveness. You get them feeling into that expansiveness and the love and the faith and the trust in the community. And of course, a lot of people are just like, yeah, I'll book a call. And they're the ones who have a great idea already of what the container looks like, know what the product, want to know what the product looks like, because we've talked about it. We talk about what it is, what it does in our success stories, and we showcase them. And so we don't have to do a whole lot on the sales call, but just relate it directly to their story. Like, this is how these tools and techniques would work for you. We help them paint a picture. We get them strategy. Once they're connected to the vision, it's just like, all right, I'll send you the link. Let's fucking go. And then I onboard them. I'm their personal accountability coach going through the process as well. So it's really nice for the sales team, because they get to tell people who already have a relationship with me that I'm the one holding their hand all the way through the process, right? And we host weekly calls inside the container. So we show them all the value. We show them module by module what's related to them and how they're going to be able to use it to capitalize, et cetera. And we focus a lot on their story, just like any good sales process would. Find out what's important to them and speak to what's important, right?
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's really super practical, and I'll definitely remember the reframing of having an invitation and not necessarily a call to action. I think that will help a lot of people, if they want to, of course, with being less shady, in my opinion. So that's really nice. Thank you. You're obviously working with some great minds, some great entrepreneurs. What are some of the best lessons that you've learned from them directly?
I think some of the best lessons that I've learned have come from the entrepreneurs who I don't want to be. And it's from, we all get blinded by complacency. All right, we step into a space and all of a sudden the human being goes from really excited to, all right, this is normal. And I've been spoiled with my normalcy in this container, to the point where I'm surrounded by people that think so much like me. We're just speaking each other's language. So we're not inherent. We all learn from each other, but we're all grounded in the same moral virtues, that the actions we're taking just make sense, right? The ultimate lesson is be your authentic self, because when you do that, you don't have to uphold a mask. You exert a lot less energy, and you will only magnetize people that truly see you for you and resonate with you. And when you treat this, honestly, this is the most important lesson. When you treat Instagram or any social media as a form of social service, and you truly create for the sake of creation, for the sake of expansion, for the sake of generating that love force, that soul force in the world, like I said, you have the ultimate qualification mechanism. Right? So focus on creation for the sake of creation. And when you do decide to put something out into the world of social media, remember the impact that it makes. So code it. Set an intention and a prayer into everything that you post. You could go as far as to make your own personal sigil or code word that you have brought in that embodies your benevolent frequency, and put that in your post. Make posting a ceremony. Turn it into something ritualized and sacred, so that when you put that out into the world, you are only exuding as pure a frequency that is undistortable and in alignment with truth as you can, so that it leaves as little room for assumption on the behalf of the consumer, right? Who is then inspired to create and feels that expansiveness because of the integrity of the message and the frequency that you are exuding. We pick up on a lot of subtle cues as human beings. And it's the difference between a forced look in the camera and a relaxed look, speaking to what's really, really with you. And this is something I personally learned. They kept calling me out because I used to always smolder at the camera. Be like, yes, I would act, right? And when I stopped acting, everybody started engaging with my content. And I was speaking to what was true to me. I wasn't pretending to like know what I was talking about. It was things that I was passionate about. But just because I was still concerned like about being something other than what was just, it put people off. So especially when you're working in the space and you want to make this much of an impact, the more masks you can peel off, the more in integrity with your personal truth you can be, the more you embody that playfulness, that love, that desire for truth, the more you will magnetize more qualified clients for whatever you will do.
Nice. Nice. That's very powerful. Just be yourself in every facet of it. And I think that will go a long way, whether it's in social media, whether it's in life in general. So that's definitely some very powerful advice. I really loved this. I loved hearing about your journey, about the behind the scenes of how you guys are growing the New Earth community. Where can people find you? Where can people connect with you? Tell us.
Quite a few places. It starts with understanding that we're more than just a community. We're a revolution of love, truth, and joy. And you can find us, you can find us, the spirit of what we're doing, wherever you feel expansiveness, wherever you feel that desire to step into truth. And you can also find us practically on school, on Instagram. If you want to go to the best place to see what we're talking about, go to Thor's Instagram, at Life by Thor. If you want to see what I've been up to in my personal life, you can go to at Altruist Justice, ALLTRUIST Justice. All true ism. It's a little play on words. All is true in you, right? And if you're going to look on school, you can find us at the New Earth Revolution or New Earth University. The New Earth Revolution is our free community. You can also find our community Instagram page at New Earth Revolution. Yeah, actually, the name of the page is at Vanguards of Earth. VANGUARDS of Earth. The Vanguard is the front line, protectors, those who pave the way for the others. So that's what really the energy we're stepping into, this shield wall, this ancient primal power of forging a new way for truth, paving the way through leading by example. And that's where you can find us practically. And if you ever feel inspired, you can always reach out to me via Instagram. I'll give you my number, Sam. If you want to drop my number or my email in the chat, I'm happy to reach out. My phone is open to anybody who wants to step into this container, to this vortex, to see what we're talking about. And I love making friends, so please reach out. I would love to speak to you.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Justice.